I have new missions for you.
Starfleet intelligence has decoded the list of Reman targets that you recovered from the vault. I need you to investigate one of these locations and determine why Obasek and his forces planned an attack there. The Hefar system is still technically part of the Romulan Star Empire, but Ferengi speculators have moved in, and the Empress has done nothing to remove them. The Ferengi have reopened the mines and are now doing business with anyone with latinum. Several survivors from the Star Empire have taken up residence at the mines and now work for Modron, the Ferengi who oversees the operation. The presence of one or more refugees should not cause undue suspicion, so you should be able to gather information from Modron and the workers. Once we know why Obasek and the Remans are targeting these mines, then we will be able to decide how to proceed.
I have new missions for you.
I do not know. Obasek and his people have traveled a most difficult path. After so many years of oppression and Romulan treachery, it does not surprise me that they are suspicious of anyone. The Remans gained much in the years after the destruction of the Romulan homeworld, but Sela is more secure in her power now, and she may believe that she no longer needs the Remans as allies. If the Romulans seek to enslave the Remans again, there will be bloodshed.
I have new missions.
Volunteers for a rescue mission should report to Admiral today.
Romulans. This space is becoming an intergalactic haven for beggars and refugees. Time to take out the trash. This moon is private property. No solicitors, beggars, or Romulans allowed.
Hello, my good friends. I'm so happy to meet you. Perhaps you are in the market for some high-quality magnesite? We have the finest ore in the quadrant. On behalf of the miners and residents here, I'm more than happy to welcome you to our home. Please transport to the surface. Unfortunately, the large amounts of extremely pure magnesite ore in the core of our little world will interfere with your sensors. For safety reasons, I must insist that you use the transporter signal enhancers that I have installed at my own expense. Also, I know Romulans are fond of their entourages, but could you please restrict the number of crew you bring down to the surface? My people here aren't used to strangers, and you wouldn't want to disrupt their work, would you?
Did you need something? Is it really you? How did you... Never mind, it doesn't matter. I didn't know who else escaped. When the attack happened, I hid in the Kellid hives. I lived on Nectar for days before I snuck out. The Tal Shiar didn't leave much of a garrison behind. I was able to hike to another settlement and meet up with a few other survivors. We got an old transport working, but it broke down. It's so good to see a familiar face. I would be grateful for any chance to leave this place. I promise I will work hard.
My life is unimportant. It's my brother. I can't find him. I last saw him 2 days ago. Madron assigned both of us to work in the upper levels of the mine. Toshin's drill bit broke, and he needed a new one. I know I should have gone with him. It's not safe to be in the mine alone. Now he's gone. There's a group of people down there who treat the mine like it's their own. I don't know why Madron tolerates them, but they make life miserable for the rest of us. They steal and terrorize the weak. I once saw them dragging a woman to the lower levels, and I never saw her again. She wasn't the only one. Many people have disappeared. I thought if my brother and I kept our heads down, that we would be safe, but maybe they took him. Murderers. Murderers. If they killed my brother, I'll kill them all! If you go into the mine, watch for the silver spheres. There are creatures in the dark. Devils. They're made of stone. Nothing can hurt them, and their touch burns. I've seen them moving around in the tunnels. Anywhere you see the silver spheres, the monsters are not far away.
Oh, my family and I have been here all our lives. It's a hard life, but it's all I know. And my mother used to tell me tales of the home world. She'd talk about the plazas in Rateg, or vacations she spent with her father on the shores of the Apnic Sea. And she would tell me about my father, who gave up his place in the military evacuation ship so she could live. He never knew he had a child. She would tell me these stories, and later, when she thought I was asleep, she would cry. He charges us too much and pays too little. He's like everyone else in this world, out for himself. But he doesn't let us starve. And if a child needs medicine, they get it. Many here grumble and hate him, but I cannot. If I were in his position and his life was in my hands, can I say that I would act any differently than he does? Stay in the settlement. Don't go down into the mine. And whatever you do, don't leave this area. I do not wish you harm, stranger. And there are many dangers here. There is a group. They rule the mine. And they are dangerous. Even Madron fears them. If you avoid them, they will ignore you. And defy them, and they will turn on you. Last week, a good man died because he would not give them what they wanted. He was not the first. There are many monsters on this moon that you would be wise to avoid. Outside of the settlement, there are packs of wild animals. If you take a warrigal from its mother when it's very young, it can be tamed. If you wait too long, they are savage. The packs of wild warrigal roam the edges of our settlement. Often they prowl the refuse piles, looking for scraps of food. A pack of warrigal can kill even a strong man. And you must be careful when you are in their territory. And they are not the only monsters here. The miners tell stories about creatures made of stone who can burn you to cinders. I have not seen one of these creatures myself, but I know that many people who enter the mine do not leave it. Stay in the... There are many monsters. You're the first outsider I've seen in a long time. There's no reason for anyone to want to come here.
What can I say? We exist. I mine because there's nothing but rocks on this forsaken planet. If I'm lucky, I dig enough ore to make my quota and Madron pays me. If he pays me, I can eat and have a warm place to sleep. If we don't make our quotas, there's nothing. Even if I do have latinum, most of it goes to Madron to pay my debts, and the rest he takes in exchange for the supplies he imports. I would leave, but I owe too much to Madron to ever earn enough to buy my passage off this place. Besides, where would I go? Every morning, the first thing I do when I wake is curse that Ferengi's name. Madron found this moon about 2 years after the destruction of the homeworld. Most of our equipment was broken or useless, the supplies were gone, and we were starving. After some negotiations, Madron had his contract and we had food. We're supposed to be working with him, but he's the only one who benefits from our labor. Madron owns the only working ship here, so no supplies come in without him. He negotiates all of the ore contracts, so most of the latinum goes into his pocket. And he sets the prices for food, medicine, and equipment. So everyone here owes him more than we can ever repay. He owns us now. I hate him for that, but I can't live without him. The Empire? What Empire? Our empire turned to dust with the loss of the homeworld. If you're rich or in the military, then maybe there's something. I hear the people in Sila's shining city and the Raptor system live quite well, as long as they obey her commands. For the rest of us, there's nothing but dust and regret. I have heard this, but I have not seen that it is true. Are you going to go to every Romulan on every world and hand them bread? Because that is the only way you can help all of us. The strong take from the weak. Sila and her ships are strong. The Tal Shiar is strong. Your aid goes to fill their bellies and heal their wounds, Starfleet, not mine. I have heard this, but I have not seen that it is true. Are you going to go to every Romulan on every world and hand them bread? Because that is the only way you can help all of us. The strong take from the weak. Sela and her ships are strong. The Tal Shiar is strong. Your aid goes to fill their bellies and heal their wounds, Starfleet, not mine.
On behalf of everyone on this forsaken rock, let me be the first to welcome you to Hathara. As you can see, we don't have time for pleasantries. And I'm not sharing my Tranya stash with you. So, why don't we skip the chit-chat and get down to business? Unfortunately, I cannot call this mine my own. I'm just a middleman. Out of the goodness of my heart, I help the residents here pass on the products of their hard work to commercial entities such as yourself. The minuscule transaction fee and trade tariff I keep to offset my expenses is figured into the unit cost of the ore. My operation has become one of the best in the area because of the high demand for my services from both sides. I provide the best mining equipment and supplies in the sector to the miners, while my customers get competitive pricing on the ore they need. I don't pay much attention to that. Miners have empty carts, and they return with ones filled with ore. If you're that interested, you could visit the mines themselves, but I don't recommend it. It's such a dirty, disagreeable business, and I'm convinced that breathing ore dust for too long is terrible for you. The miners who live near my quarters used to keep me up night after night with their dreadful coughing. I had to install soundproofing just to get some sleep. Are you sure you wouldn't rather look at the ore I have for sale? Really? Suit yourself. Just remember, I have an exclusive contract to export magnesite ore from this moon. If you try to cut me out of your deals, you'll regret it.
I'm sorry, I really can't talk at the moment. I have to finish a survey of the area so the miners can start work on a new mine shaft. I need someone who is familiar with the techniques involved in sonar analysis of soil compositions. How good is your podology? I've marked some coordinates on your map. Please go there, scan the soil content, and report back to me. Thank you so much for your help. This information will be incredibly useful when we're ready to tap a new vein of ore. To answer your question, I'm not sure what makes this mine special. I haven't had much chance to explore the whole thing, though. My shuttle broke down in the system 6 weeks ago. Modron was happy to pick me up, but he's holding my shuttle until I've worked out the costs of the repairs. I can't wait to get off this rock. I have seen some strange people in the lower levels of the mine. I tried to do a survey down there once, but they wouldn't let me pass. Perhaps you should look there.
Congratulations, Commander.
You want to go in the mine? Are you really interested in buying any magnesite? Or are you just here to cause trouble? Because if it's the latter, I know someplace you can start a little ruckus. There's a gang that controls the bottom levels of the mine. They won't even let me in there. Previously, I allowed them to keep their little kingdom in exchange for information. But lately, they've been more trouble than they're worth. And the intel they're feeding me is useless. Honestly, who doesn't know about the green invasion of the fairy space?
What do you want? This area is restricted. Only people my friends and I like may enter. And I don't like you! You don't belong here, and I'm done talking with you. Leave now! must suffer the consequences.
I give the orders here, Commander. You are out of line.
With all due respect, sir, there is a difference between protecting the Empire from her enemies and provoking...
There is much here you do not understand, Janek. The Remans need to know their place. As do you. I will not forget your insubordination, Commander. The Tal Shiar has no place for officers who cannot follow orders. I'll be in the command center.
Colonel, they were civilians. Their blood is on our hands.
Get used to it. There will be more. Speaking of which, why don't you clean out the brig before you become a resident there?
I almost feel sorry for you, but I have my own neck to worry about. I'll be joining you in there soon enough. If Hakiv has his way, we all will. You again! How do you always manage to... Never mind. Obviously, the Tal Shiar have had no luck in stopping me. I have no desire to try my own fortunes. Why are you here? How did you even find out about us? The Remans know about this base? Impossible! Only the leadership of the Tal Shiar know we're here. The Empress herself couldn't find us. I don't believe you, but it makes no difference. This is not a military installation. We listen and record here. Nothing more. There are many targets that those Reman scum would find much more tempting. Colonel Akiv will want my blood for this, but... Take my security code. You can use it to access the control room. You'll find everything you're looking for there.
again. I suppose it was inevitable. Fitting, as this is the perfect opportunity to eliminate you. Though I would like to watch you suffer personally. My plans are larger than you alone. The self-destruct sequence has begun. This base will be your tomb. How did you find this piece? What else did? No matter. You won't be revealing anything to your superiors. It's disappointing I cannot give you a proper interrogation. But I have much to do and little time. The self-destruct sequence has begun. This base will be your tomb.
My mind! What have you done to my mind? Tal Shiar? I'm shocked. I had no idea. I certainly wouldn't have sent you down there if you... Say, you didn't happen to find anything valuable down there, did you? Because if you did, remember, I have an exclusive contract. And what's it to you? This is a rough area of the quadrant, you know, and they're good neighbors. If you're not easily embarrassed. Their cameras and listening devices are everywhere. I haven't had a single problem with Orions or Herodians since they moved in. And it doesn't hurt that I acquired the odd bit of information here and there. I'm a businessman, and information is big business. Unfortunately, no. I'll admit, I was trying to find out, but their systems were locked down tight. I'm sure whatever it was had to be big news. Everyone was on edge. Janek and Hakiv were barely speaking, and I once heard Hakiv mumbling something about orders. Someone's been pulling his strings, but I don't know who. I do know that Tal Shiar takes security very seriously. If you manage to pull any files from their system, you can expect them to be heavily encoded. Trust me on that. I speak from experience. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go talk 100 Romulans into digging a new mine to replace the one you destroyed. My profit margin for this month is ruined.
The Tal Shiar records you recovered show that Hakiv and his forces have been targeting the Remans for months. Obasek and his followers have been driven from their homes, had their ships destroyed, and their loved ones killed or imprisoned. Some might say that Obasek's campaign against the Tal Shiar is just. However, Obasek was planning on using Thalaron weapons in the Vahar system, which would have killed hundreds of innocent civilians, as well as the Tal Shiar cell there. This is the problem with revenge. Violence and fury only create more pain and suffering.
I have new missions for you.
Congratulations, Commander.
Since the destruction of Romulus, the Federation has done all it can for the survivors and the Romulan colony worlds. Many of our aid shipments were stolen or diverted for use by the Romulan military. Others were rejected out of pride or suspicion. Nonetheless, we will not stop. It is my belief that a lasting peace with the Romulans is possible, but it will not be attained through treaties. Only by reaching out to individuals, as you did in the Vahar system, can we sweep away decades of mistrust and hostility.
I have new missions for you.